Okay, so now that we get into this town, we can find ourselves some new items. That being a steel broadsword, the full plate armor, which we actually saw at the town up north, and magical armor. Now, the magical armor and the full plate armor are very similar in the fact that they give you the same amount of defense. However, you will want to get yourself the magic armor eventually. Whether or not you want to just skip the full plate armor and get the magic armor is going to be up to you and how you want to deal with things. I would suggest right now buying yourself the broadsword, whatever the weapon was. I think it was an iron broadsword. I suggest you buy that. As of right now, I would say, considering how much HP we got and the fact that we have so much magic to heal ourselves, going for a stronger attack might be the better option than having a greater defense. But yeah, as we go around town, we can talk to the people who give us a couple of little bits of information here and there. But also, if we look around, talk to this girl who will ask us, well, who will basically complain about the fact that her boyfriend is nowhere around. So we can go look for him. But we can go back here, most importantly, and talk to this old man who can actually sell us the magic keys that we need. This is actually required. You do need to talk to him at least once and get at least one key from him. You're going to need multiple throughout the game, but you need to talk to him. Anyways, if you talk to this guy, he will basically talk about the fact he can't find his girlfriend, and since we know where she is, he's like, oh no, I'm in the doghouse now. Well, thanks for the info. Go back to the town up north, and you can find yourself a fairy flute. So yeah, that's how you're supposed to find the fairy flute, other than the fact that it actually sparkles. I kind of wish they made it invisible until you talk to the guy, and then after you talk to him it becomes, like, sparkly, but that's not my decision. Anyway, as we go down here, we are now what I would consider the middle right part of the map, which I would say is another level up in terms of difficulty when it comes to the enemies, and if we go a little bit further south, I would say we go up to another level. Let's say this is 4 and down there is 5. You do want to be careful because the enemies here can overpower you, and, well, you can't regret it. But the most important thing you're going to find down here is this guy, a gold golem. I do not know if oh, that's a little bit of a spoiler, but the fairy flute is said to put golems to sleep. I do not know if it'll work on the gold golem, because it didn't work for me. But yeah, this guy hurts a lot. But trust me, later on, he is going to be the guy that you want to farm the most because of the fact that he will give you the most amount of gold per enemy that you can find in the game. But yeah, okay, steel broadsword, not an iron. And now, with that, if we so desire, we can stay up here to grind for the full plate armor and the magic armor. Don't forget to actually sell your weapons, by the way, your weapons and armor that you do not need. Also, to take a look at the fact of what will your armor actually sell for, because you can use that to more or less figure out the difference between what I need and what I can sell / what I need. Anyways, back to the castle since we got the magic keys. I should have done this before, but we can actually go into the castle here and actually start looking through the chests here, as well as do a couple other things. Some things I wanted to save until I want to say somebody else told us later on. That's why I didn't go through that door down there. If we go over here, we can go to the inn. Talk to this guy who tells us about the fact that golems will fall asleep by fairies, which is the reference to the fairy flute. I almost called it the fairy whistle. There's another locked door in this town, and depending on what you want, I would say this is kind of useless because of the fact that she will sell you, in Pokemon terms, a repel, which will prevent lower ranking monsters from actually coming to you. So with that all the way, the next town to go to is the one to the top right. We'll save the top left one for later. Here we can find a couple of locked doors and talk to these people, which I don't think they have too much going on right now, or if anything at all. I think that guy there was talking about asking if he had the fairy flute, which I did not have at the time. And I don't know if he has anything different to say if we do have it, or maybe he's talking about the harp. Either way, I didn't have either of those. So, yeah. I would say if you want, just completely skip this house on the left. It's kind of a waste of keys. Because even this guy, Medical Orbs, Torch, Dragon Scale, Chimera Ring, all kind of pointless by this point of the game. But yes, you go and stand on top of the sparkly bit, and you can get yourself the Fairy Flute. Again, I do not know if it works on golds and golems, because I was never able to get it to work for me. So right now it's just taking up inventory space that is probably better off going to the bank to be held onto. And I want to say, was this the point where I decided to go grind up for the magic armor? For the full plate armor or not? I don't think I had it yet. Yep, this is when I started the grind, as evidence of the fact that I'm fighting the Golden Golem here. And remember, your spell will do almost a set amount of magic damage. So if you are not doing, say, 20 damage, try using magic instead. But since I had the Steel Broadsword, fighting him was actually easier with my physical attack than my magic attack. And don't forget to heal. Like, that's honestly one of the most important things. And this guy, when Wayne and Son try, they make a bridge, as told in the Legends of Yore. He's basically talking about 2 items that we need to get, which will then be able to be used to make an item that will make us a bridge over to the Dragon Lord's castle. Those 2 items are obviously not in our possession, and we have to find them somewhere out in the world. As a matter of fact, we actually know where one is, but we cannot get to it because the sage would not let us have it unless we get a harp. Now, if you happen to run out of magical keys like I was around this time, make sure to buy more. This guy has the cheapest cheapest keys. I think I've been calling them magical rings all this time. Good God. Magical keys. He has the cheapest magical keys you can find in the game. And you're going to need at least 2 of them to get to our next destination. And this guy is telling us about the Rain Bow, and about how it gets us to where we need to go, and if we ever find the descendant of Eldrick, to let him know that. Anyways, was everything I wanted out of there? Because again, I don't need the magic armor right now. It could definitely help, but we can survive without it. I want to say we eventually got somebody who told us to come over here because of the fact that something was supposed to be hidden underneath the castle. And this guy right here will actually give you a full health refill. It's not worth it in my eyes, in my opinion, to come here if you're looking for free health. Honestly, I would just as easily go to the magic guy down below and use my healing magic. Or I would just go to an inn. The fact of using a magical key is not worth it. The only reason I would say he is there, so that we can heal up and talk to this guy, who tells us to press upon the wall of darkness till the path grows clear. I did not read the entire thing, but he's basically talking about the fact that there is a secret in a town, that we will be going to soon, but to find it you have to basically press forward into the darkness, which will make more sense later on, to basically find where we need to go next. Now, if you see me right here, I'm trying to figure out why there was an item I couldn't get out of that dresser. It's because you can only carry 6 medical herbs at a time. So I found a 7th one, but it won't let me just take it. So, yeah. Anyways, if we talk to this sage down here, we'll talk about the fact that he's been waiting for us to send in Eldrick, a quest to defeat the Dragon Lord, and tells us to take what's in this chest. And inside the chest is our first, I would say, of the first of the 3 key items to beat the game, the Sunstone. And with that, the sage can now rest, as he has done his duty. He can now be at peace. Although, I would say he's just sleeping. He's sleeping. But yes, this is the last town we have to go to right now. There's another town in this world, but you don't want to go there just yet, because we are not ready for that. Anyways, if we talk to these people, they talk to us about grain, and they talk to us about all the other stuff, and blah blah blah. I think someone also talks to us about the fact, about his grave, and whatnot, as well as him having an instrument that could be used to summon monsters. That is your hint for, that's pretty much your hint of, hey, there's a grave around somewhere in this area. And we didn't see anything out, well, there was a grave, there was the cave over to the right that I I guess I skipped over. I thought I showed it off. But that's not it. They're basically talking about something inside that town. And yeah, since we have the fairy ring, I don't need that. I don't need the Sunstone, so by all means, put them away. If you have 1,000 gold, I would also just put that away as well. And get ready, because we're going to be going into a darkened cave soon enough. So make sure to bring a torch. Although at this point I have a magical spell that'll actually make it a bit easier for me to see in the darkness. It was a spell that I was actually talking about in the previous episode. But you do want to be prepared. And this woman here, I don't know why she's here. We literally use a magic key to open up the door to talk to her, to get a magic key back for using it to open up her door. So, Anyways, in this cave, I guess is the grave of the one guy that we need to actually go and find. Or maybe not so much find as much as explore to search for his item. I hate interruptions, and hopefully this doesn't interrupt this entire thing too much. But yeah, this is by no means any different than any other cave or dungeon that we've found, although we've only went through the one before. Oh no, we went through two, but like the first one, this one basically has a magic key door that I want to say is unskippable. So you do have to have at least one magic key. So you need 3 magic keys. Nope, two. I was right before. You need one to get into the building and then one to open up that lock. But anyways, now I can actually show off the glow spell. That's what I was talking about in the previous episode, that we can actually have a greater range of light, but at the cost of the fact that the light will slowly shrink down. Blech. And I want to say some of these monsters aren't anything too new at the moment, but obviously the further down you go, the more dangerous they get. And if you're looking for the pathway forward with the dungeon, you want the bottom left pathway. I'm at the top left one right now. But it never hurts to explore, because, trust me, you're gonna want to be grinding and whatnot, because we're gonna need the experience to level up. You're gonna need the money to buy some more expensive things later on. As well as there might be treasure chests and whatnot that maybe even I didn't know about, maybe stuff I missed. Also, you want to be careful, because things like this thing can put you to sleep. So it might be in your best interest to use the Fizzle spell, I think it's called? Fizzle, Fuzzle, something like that, to make it so that the enemies cannot use magical spells. Also, I want to say this is when enemies actually start to heal themselves. So you do want to be careful. Anyways, another level up is not too bad, and I think I'm talking a little too fast. So let me try and slow this down just a little. Fizzle. Okay. So yeah, my only issue with using the Fizzle spell is the fact that we are, in part, essentially wasting a turn to use that. It's up in the air whether or not it's worth it. But speaking of worth it, another question to bring up to you is the glow spell. The fact that we have to waste magic and say it lasts like a minute, is it worth it? Like, obviously it's a minute in the overworld, but is it worth it to use the spell, or should you be using a torch? That is going to be a question up to you, and I would say judge that based around your current magic pool and like your attack and your defense. If you can take care of the enemies easily without relying on your magic, then using the glow spell, I don't see any reason to not use it. But if you are constantly healing up after battles or using magic to attack, maybe using a torch is your better option, for the fact that you're gonna want your magic to keep you alive. Now granted, we also have medical herbs. They are also another way of healing up, and are actually better off in terms of like HP recovered. The issue being that you can only hold 6 of them at a time, and there is no other better healing item to get. Anyways, as we finally get all the way down here, we find the Leer that we are looking for, and unfortunately I think, for me, it's the fact that we cannot actually read the grave. I don't know why. I think it would have been nice if we could actually have read, I don't know, anything about the person and what they did. But oh well, I guess maybe someone on the above ground left tells you more about that and I just missed it, but yeah, that was the only thing we really needed to get down here. I don't think there was anything else of value other than some gold in a chest and whatnot. So right now our main goal is just to get out of this cave, and if you happen to hit, I think it's level 12, you'll eventually get yourself a spell that can let you just get out of a dungeon easily. So if that's the case, you can just use that spell, the evac spell, and not have to worry about going all the way through. Now, you can talk to the people. They have some new things to say now that we actually have the Leer in our possession. You can also play it, and only if you're in a cave or out in the overworld, you can get an enemy to just spawn and attack you. I don't really see much use for that, as I want to say, if you're just trying to grind, just move left and right. And you can probably find an enemy a lot faster than playing the flute, let the flute do its little tune, and then have the enemy show up. Right now, the only reason I see to even have this thing in my inventory is just so we can talk to this sage up here to get the item that we want. Because now that we have the Leer, he's like, oh, you are the hero! Congratulations, take this chest. The Staff of Rain. So now we have the Sunstone, the Rain of Staff. We have the two main components that we need to get ourselves to the Dragon Lord's castle. However, we have to do something with these two items and take that to Sage number 3. However, Sage number 3 is a bit of a jerk. And just because we have the items, he does not believe that we are indeed the descendant of Eldrick, and will not help us out unless we show him proof. Something that we will deal with in the next episode. But now we are going to pretty much just save, because remember, talking to the king is the only way to save, and we just got some big items. You do not want to lose this by having the game crash or something. So right now, I would say it's about the time of the game where we don't know exactly where to go next. Like, the game doesn't exactly tell us, so we're going to have to explore, and yeah, you don't want the Sunstone or the Staff of Rain. Maybe take the Fairy Flute with you. I would say take the Flute with you. And more or less be prepared, because we're going to have some tough fights coming at us next.